Yep.
Greetings, stranger. You are welcome here. After you've had dinner, you can tell us what you need.
Wait, but he wouldn't have known her. I mean, him,
No,
Mentis,
right.
whoever it is, in disguise.
Mm-hmm.
Why would they treat a guest so nicely?
Well, see, it's this thing called xenia. It was this Greek concept of hospitality. It was all about how hosts treated their guests and how guests treated their hosts.
Like a cultural obligation to be nice to people who just show up.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. So when Mentis shows up, Xenia requires that Telemachus offers him something to eat, a place to take a bath, and even a place to sleep for the night. It's a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
Hosts often gave their guests gifts as well. And all of this was without knowing who they were or really needing to worry about that. But see, the suitors are taking advantage of all this, right? They're there, they're eating all of Odysseus'
Those
stuff.
pigs.
Right? It seems like a good deal for them, but Xenia usually requires guests to be better to their hosts.
So a little reciprocity.
Yeah, they're not supposed to make unreasonable demands. They're supposed to bring news from the outside world, and they're supposed to bring gifts too. Stuff that the suitors really aren't.
Sounds pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's a cool concept, and it's one that we'll see play out all over the Odyssey. Some characters are great examples of Xenia. Some are really terrible examples of Xenia, and we'll see kind of what happens to all of them as a result.
Tells you a little bit about their character.
Yep, absolutely.
Oh, all right. Telemachus spoke, and Pallas Athena followed him into the high-roofed hall. When they were inside, he placed her spear in a polished rack beside a great column where the spears of Odysseus stood in a row. Then he covered a beautifully wrought chair with a linen cloth and had her sit on it, with a stool under her feet. He drew up an intricately painted bench for himself and arranged their seats apart from the suitors so that his guest would not lose his appetite in their noisy and uncouth company.
Yeah, bad guests will do that, right?
And so he could inquire about his absent father. A maid poured water from a silver pitcher into a golden basin for them to wash their hands, and then set up a polished table nearby. Another serving woman, grave and dignified, set out bread and generous helpings from the other dishes she had. A carver sat down, cuts of meat by the platter and golden cups. Then a herald came by and poured them wine. Now the suitors swaggered in.
They would swagger, wouldn't they? Yeah.
Jerks. They sat down in rows on benches and chairs. Heralds poured water over their hands. Maidservants brought around breads in basket, and young men filled mixing bowls to the brim with wine. The suitors helped themselves to all this plenty, and when they had their fill of food and drink, they turned their attention to the other delights, dancing and song, that round out a feast. A herald handed a beautiful zither to Phemius, who sang for the suitors, though against his will. Sweeping the strings, he struck up a song, and Telemachus, putting his head close to Pallas Athena's, so the others wouldn't hear, said this to her. Please don't take offense if I speak my mind. It's easy for them to enjoy the harper's song since they are eating another man's stores without paying anything.
So they're just partying at Odysseus' place, eating all of his food. He's not even there.
Rude.
Right? The nerve of some people.
Yeah. The stores of a man whose white bones lie rotting in the rain on some distant shore.
Oof.
Wait, whose bones are rotting?
Oh, Odysseus.
But I thought, wait.
Well, Telemachus doesn't know. Think about it. He's been
doesn't
gone
know.
for 20 years.
Oh, that's
10 years fighting the Trojan War, 10 years since he's gotten back. Telemachus doesn't even know his father.
and he thinks his bones are rotting on the distant shore, or still chum in the waves. If they ever saw him make landing on Ithaca, they would pray for more foot speed instead of more gold or fancy clothes. But he's met a bad end, and it's no comfort to us.
Single tear.
But some traveler tells us he's on his way home. The day has long passed when he's coming home.
Sounds like Telemachus is kind of losing hope here. I mean, 20 years, I can't say that I blame him.
Right.
But, yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't be an Odyssey if it wasn't.
There we go. It's the Odyssey. But tell me this, and tell me the truth. Who are you? And where do you come from? Who are your parents? What kind of ship brought you here? How did your sailors guide you to Ithaca, and how large is your crew? I don't imagine you came here on foot. And tell me this too, I'd like to know. Is this your first visit here? Or are you an old friend of my father's, one of the many who have come to our house over the years? Athena's sea-gray eyes glinted as she said, "I'll tell you nothing but the unvarnished truth. I am Mentes, son of Anchilas, and proud of it."
Wait, but she's not telling the unvarnished truth.
Way to
because
go, Athena.
She's not Mentes, son of...
Her version of truth is different than ours, right?
Just alternate realities. Sure, it's fine.
I am also a captain of the seafaring Taphians. I just pulled in with my ship and my crew, sailing the deep purple to foreign ports. We're on our way to Cyprus with a cargo of iron to trade for copper. My ship is standing offshore of wild country away from the city, in Raythron Harbor under Neon's woods. You and I have ties of hospitality, just as our fathers did from a long way back. Go and ask old Laertes. They say he never comes to town anymore. Lives out in the country, a hard life with just an old woman to help him. She gets him his food and drink when he comes in from the fields, all worn out from trudging across the ridge of his vineyard plot. I have come because they say your father has returned. But now I see the gods have knocked him off course. He's not dead, though, not godlike Odysseus.
Wait. Mentes is telling Telemachus that his father, Odysseus, is still alive.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
But not home yet.
I hope he's sitting down. This is kind of big news.
Warn him at least, right? Warn him at least. He's not dead, though, not godlike Odysseus. No way in the world. No, he's alive, all right. It's the sea keeps him back. Detained on some island in the middle of the sea. Held captive by savages. Again with this truth thing, right? It's not savages, it's the beautiful, powerful Calypso. And now I will prophesy for you, as the gods put it in my heart, and I think it will be, though I am no soothsayer or reader of birds.
Oh, whatever.
No, they used to use birds to actually tell the future, to predict things. They'd look at the flights of birds, flocks that were there. They'd also like kill birds and read their entrails or their guts spilled out, and it would tell them things about the future.
Glad we don't do that anymore.
Right? And we just, yeah, we've got apps for that instead.
That's right.
Odysseus will not be gone much longer from his native land, not even if iron chains hold him. He knows every trick there is, and will think of some way to come home. But now tell me this, and I want the truth. Tall as you are you Odysseus' son? You bear a striking resemblance to him, especially in the head and those beautiful eyes we used to spend quite a bit of time together before he sailed for Troy with the Argive fleet. Since then, we haven't seen each other at all.
Is that flirting?
Maybe, but Mentes / Athena says something in here about Troy, which is important too, right? Odysseus originally left home because he was going to Troy to fight in that war.
Yeah.
The Greeks won, huzzah, but everybody else has made it home years ago, and Odysseus is still lost somewhere. Telemachus took a deep breath and said, "You want the truth, and I will give it to you. My mother says that Odysseus is my father. I don't know this myself. No one witnesses his own begetting. If I had my way, I'd be the son of a man fortunate enough to grow old at home. But it's the man with the most dismal fate of all they say I was born from, since you want to know."
Athena's sea-gray eyes glinted as she said, "Well, the gods have made sure your family's name will go on, since Penelope has borne a son like you. But there is one other thing I want you to tell me. What kind of party is this? What's the occasion? Some kind of banquet? A wedding feast? It's no neighborly potluck, that's for sure. The way this rowdy crowd is carrying on all through the house, any decent man would be outraged if he saw this behavior."
So Athena's showing up and already stirring the pot here with Telemachus, right? Like, why are you letting this happen? What's going on?
Telemachus breathed in the salt air and said, "Since you ask me these questions as my guest, this, no doubt, was once a perfect house, wealthy and fine, when its master was still home. But the gods frowned and changed all that. When they whisked him off the face of the earth, I wouldn't grieve for him so much if he were dead, gone down with his comrades in the town of Troy, or died in his friend's arm after winding up the war. The entire Greek army would have buried him then, and great honor would have passed on to his son. But now the whirlwinds have snatched him away without a trace."
So it sounds like Telemachus is really upset about his father leaving, that it doesn't leave anything for him, right? He gets no respect. Nothing happens. If Odysseus died a war hero,
He'd be like, "My dad's a hero."
yeah,
As it is, my dad just vanished.
and I got all these dudes in my house, right? What's going on?
Yeah, rude. Not even nice ones.
No, not even.
He's vanished, gone, and left me pain and sorrow, and he's not the only cause I have to grieve. The gods given me other trials. All of the nobles who ruled the islands, Dulichim, Same, wooded Zachysinth, and all of those with power on rocky Ithaca, are courting my mother and ruining our house.
That'd make me pretty upset too.
She refuses to make a marriage she hates, but can't stop it either. They are eating us out of house and home, and will kill me someday.
Why do you think they're going to kill Telemachus?
He's the son. If Penelope dies, he'll inherit.
That's true. They don't want him to be king. Yeah,
It is a big property.
makes sense.
Right.
And Pallas Athena, with a flash of anger, "Damn them! You really do need Odysseus back. Just let him lay his hands on these mangy dogs. If only he would come through that door now with a helmet and a shield and a pair of spears, just as he was when I saw him first, drinking and enjoying himself in our house on his way back from Ithri." Odysseus had sailed there to ask Murmerus' son, Ilus, for some deadly poison for his arrowheads. I mean, what good are arrowheads without deadly poison? Right?
Yeah. Pretty much meaningless.
Ilus, out of fear of the gods' anger, would not give him any, but my father gave him some, because he loved him dearly. That's the Odysseus I want the suitors to meet. They wouldn't live long enough to get married. But it's on the knees of the gods now, whether he comes home and pays them back right here in his halls, or doesn't. So it's up to you to find a way to drive them out of your house. Now pay attention and listen to what I'm saying. Tomorrow you call an assembly and make a speech to these heroes, with the gods as witnesses. The suitors you order to scatter, each to his own. Your mother, if in her heart she wants to marry, goes back to her powerful father's house. Her kinfolk and he can arrange the marriage and the large dowry that should go with his daughter. And my advice for you, if you will take it, is to launch your best ship with 20 oarsmen and go make inquiries about your long-absent father. Someone may tell you something, or you may hear a rumor from Zeus, which is how news travels best. Sail to Pylos first and ask godly Nestor, then go over to Sparta and red-haired Menelaus. He was the last home of all the bronze-clad Greeks. If you hear your father's alive and on his way home, you can grit your teeth and hold out one more year.
1 more year.
Right?
1 more year.
Well, that's not working so well at the moment either. If you hear he's dead, among the living no more, then come home to your ancestral land, build him a barrow, like a place to bury him, right? And celebrate the funeral your father deserves. Then marry off your mother. After you've done all that, think up some way to kill the suitors in your house, either openly or by setting a trap.
Wait, but he has this Xenia that tells him to be hospitable and kind to them. Now he's getting permission to kill them.
Bit of a conflict, especially because he doesn't know it's coming from the gods, right? He still thinks
Right,
it's
it's
mentors.
his Ventas. Yeah, okay. Interesting.
You've got to stop acting like a child. And that's really the key, right? Look, you're letting these people overrun your house. What's going on? Stop acting like a child.
I've heard people really respond well when they're told that.
Yeah, oh yeah, usually. You've outgrown that now. Haven't you heard how Orestes won glory throughout the world when he killed Aegisthus, the shrewd traitor who murdered his father? This guy again. We just skipped him last time. Can we kind of... let's see. Okay. Well, I'm off to my ship and men, who are no doubt wondering what's taking me so long. You've got a job to do. Remember what I said.
And Telemachus, in his clear-headed way, "My dear guest, you speak to me as kindly as a father to his son. I will not forget your words. I know you're anxious to leave, but please stay so you can bathe and relax before returning to your ship, taking with you a costly gift, something quite fine, a keepsake from me, the sort of thing a host gives to his guests."
See that Xenia again?
And Athena, her eyes gray as salt water. "No, I really do want to get on with my journey. Whatever gift you feel moved to make, give it to me on my way back home. Yes, something quite fine. It will get you as good."
Some foreshadowing there, right? I'll bring you a gift. Your father.
With these words, the gray-eyed one was gone, flown up and away like a seabird, and as she went, she put the courage in Telemachus's heart, and made him think of his father even more than before. Telemachus's mind soared. He knew it had been a god, and like a god himself, he rejoined the suitors.
So he figured something out. He knows this wasn't just mentor, which probably means he's going to be more okay with killing all the suitors now.
Yeah. They were sitting... They were sitting hushed in silence, listening to the great harper as he sang the tale of the hard journeys home that Pallas Athena ordained for the Greeks on their way back from Troy. His song drifted upstairs, and Penelope, wise daughter of Icarius, took it all in. She came down the steep stairs of her house, not alone, 2 maids trailed behind. And when she had come among the suitors, she stood shawled in light by a column that supported the roof of the great house, hiding her cheeks behind her silky veils. Grave handmaidens standing on either side, and she wept as she addressed the brilliant harper. Phemius, you know many other songs to soothe human sorrows, songs of the exploits of gods and men. Sing one of those to your enraptured audience as they sit sipping their wine. But stop singing this one, this painful song that always tears at my heart. I am already sorrowful, constantly grieving for my husband, remembering him, a man renowned in Argos and throughout all Hellas.
So hit shuffle already, dude.
Yeah.
Right? And Telemachus said to her coolly, Mother, why begrudge our singer entertaining us as he thinks best? Singers are not responsible. Zeus is, who gives what he wants to every man on earth. No one can blame Phemius for singing the doom of the Danaans. It's always the newest song an audience praises most. For yourself, you'll just have to endure it and listen. Odysseus was not the only man at Troy who didn't come home. Many others perished. You should go back upstairs and take care of your work, spinning and weaving, and have the maids do theirs. Speaking is for men, for all men, but for me especially, since I am the master of this house. Look at that transformation, right? He's taking charge. He's growing up. He's becoming the man of the house here.
And how does Mom react?
Penelope was stunned and turned to go. Her son's masterful words pressed to her heart. She went up the stairs to her room with her women, and wept for Odysseus, her beloved husband, until gray-eyed Athena cast sleep on her eyelids. All through the shadowy halls, the suitors broke into an uproar, each of them praying to lie in bed with her. Telemachus cut them short. Suitors of my mother, you arrogant pigs!
Them's fighting words.
For now, we're at a feast. No shouting, please. There's nothing finer than hearing a singer like this, with a voice like a god's. But in the morning, we will sit in the meeting ground, so that I can tell all of you in broad daylight to get out of my house. Fix yourselves feasts in each other's houses. Use up your own stockpiles. But if it seems better and more profitable for one man to be eaten out of house and home, without compensation, then eat away. For my part, I will pray to the gods eternal that Zeus grant me requital. Death for you here in my house, with no compensation.
Why would he pray to Zeus for requital?
I think
Requital.
what he's saying is that he recognizes that the Greek belief that the gods had a hand in all of their lives, they made all the decisions. So he's saying, hey, you guys have been taking advantage of us this whole time. There needs to be some kind of justice, right? There's got to be a punishment. And Zeus is the king of the gods, so who better to mete out punishment than Zeus? No. Thus Telemachus, and they all bit their lips and marveled at how boldly he'd spoken to them. Let's see what they have to say in response to this.
Then Antinius, son of Epethus, replied.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's all Greek to me.
Well, Telemachus, it seems the gods no less are teaching you how to be a bold public speaker. May the son of Cronus never make you king here on Ithaca, even if it is your birthright.
By the way, son of Cronus, that's also Zeus, right? Cronus was his dad. He killed to assume his place on the throne.
You know, to make it simple.
Just the way it works.
And Telemachus, taking in a breath, it may make you angry, Antinius, but I'll tell you something. I wouldn't mind a bit if Zeus granted me this, if he made me king. You think this is the worst fate a man can have? It's not so bad to be king.
Doesn't sound bad at all.
Your house grows rich, and you're held in great honor yourself. But there are many other lords on sea-washed Ithaca, young and old, and any one of them could get to be king, now that Odysseus is dead. But I will be master of my own house, and of the servants that Odysseus left me.
You tell him, Telemachus.
Then Eurymachus, Polybus' son, responded, It's on the knees of the gods, Telemachus, which man of Greece will rule this island. But you keep your property and rule your house, and may no man ever come to wrest them away from you by force, not while men live in Ithaca. But I want to ask you, sir, about your visitor. Where did he come from? What port does he call home? Where are his ancestral fields? Did he bring news of your father's coming, or was he here on business of his own? He's sure up and left in a hurry, wouldn't stay to be known. Yet, by his looks, he was no tramp.
So they recognize there's something special about the visitor, too. Yeah.
Mentis.
Right.
And Telemachus with a sharp response, Eurymachus, my father's not coming home, and I no longer trust any news that may come, or any prophecy my mother may have gotten. From a seer she has summoned up to the house. My guest was a friend of my father's from Taphos. He says he is Mentis, son of Anchialus, and captain of the seafaring Taphians. Thus Telemachus. But in his heart he knew it was an immortal goddess.
So again with the creative honesty there, right? Just letting them know what he wants them to know. And now the young men plunged into their entertainment, singing and dancing till the twilight hour. They were still at it when the evening grew dark. Then one by one went to their own houses to rest. Telemachus' room was off the beautiful courtyard, built high and with a surrounding view. There he went to his bed, his mind teeming, and with him, bearing blazing torches, went true-hearted Euryclea, daughter of Ops and Pensnor's granddaughter. Long ago, Laertes had bought her for a small fortune when she was still a girl. He paid 20 oxen and honored her in his house as he honored his wedded wife. But he never slept with her, because he would rather avoid his wife's wrath. Of all the women, she loved Telemachus the most and had nursed him as a baby. Now she bore the blazing torches as Telemachus opened the doors to his room and sat on his bed. He pulled off his soft tunic and laid it in the hands of the wise old woman, and she folded it and smoothed it and hung it on a peg beside the corded bed. Then she left the room, pulled the door shut by its silver handle, and drew the bolt home with a strap. There, Telemachus lay wrapped in a fleece all the night through, pondering the journey Athena had shown him. And thus it begins.
The end of part 1. It's been Mr. Walker and
Mr. Brashears.
Hey, this is pajama day, so don't think we dress like this all the time. Also,
Crazy hair day.
Bed hair, so, no judging. Peace.